Oh yeah, we have a beautiful time with amazing people. Heaps of my friends that I'm really good friends with nowadays are people I've met on the courses. A few people have come back as more than friends on courses. I take no responsibility for that. It doesn't always happen. I wish it happened on every course. But it's happened on 5 or 6 courses over the years, and then that whole crew has become friends. Their kids have become friends, and I don't know, something about these courses, it just seems to attract beautiful people. Like, we have a ball. It's a bit of a fun at night, very social. And during the day we work pretty hard. And they're getting to know each other by yellow. The first white patch I ever ran, maybe five or 6 years ago, Seamus. Yeah. Pretty much, if they were all the people that were on the first course, literally 85 to 90% of those people are some of my closest friends now, which is a real dream come true for me. I really want to take people on this journey, and then by yellow, everybody's absolutely smashing the bushcraft and the ethnobotany and just getting involved in looking for missing people and conservation on the Central Coast, like actively letter writing and turning up to events. And the bushcraft is a big part of what we do, obviously, but it's sort of, I wouldn't say secondary, but the most important thing to us is that it's building community, that the kids around here are growing up with, elders, and I mean the term broadly.
Australia became multicultural from 1788 onwards. I guess the convicts and the soldiers, some of my ancestors on my mum's side were the first boat people. In saying that, I do fear as Australia becomes more and more multicultural that we're losing a lot of our culture.
Respect, I hate you all equally. Do you know that the environmental movement as such used to come from the right of politics, the right-hand side of politics? It was the archaeologists, the ecologists, all the scientists that knew how important it is in this particular instance. So in my opinion, and I'm not saying this is exactly how it happened, I'm just speculating here, just jamming with some thoughts. How can we do a big cash grab? How can we get development through, particularly in the Greater Sydney area? They came up with a perfect plan. So they empower as such the local Aboriginal Land Council. Certainly, I want to continue to use that area, some of the darkest corners.
There's the Darkingnong to the west and the Awabakal to the south, and the Darug to the north. As a non-Indigenous fella, I've had the privilege of working with community. Has everyone heard the name Guring-gai before? Yeah, wonderful. So they are made up of different groups, the Walkaloa, the Wannangini, the Wannangini and the Guring-gai people, and their names that have been used in this area for tens of thousands of years.
It's a lot of people to be making something up if they're making something up. Yeah. I mean, I've met probably, I don't know, through you guys about 50 or 60 people, maybe more, that identify as Guring-gai, and I understand there's hundreds or even thousands.
Yep.
And they know their Darkingnong cousins and friends. I mean, they're related. It was a much smaller gene pool back then. So
there's another planet waiting, so when the shift occurs, that there will be some on the planet that will be taken to this new Earth. It's a very interesting concept, but there are many prophecies that have prophesied the solar flash, where we could have 90 days of darkness.
Size face is straight for a lot of things. There might be something in it.
Like getting to know a person, you start to be really happy to see them. You might even endanger your own life, risk your own life to save them, and let's stick together. Let's stick together like we've never stuck together before our kids.
there's just so many different ways that things could go down. Weather events, there could be military intervention. Sleeping in the grass hut, it's just a beautiful, really primal feeling. Wake up in the middle of the night and you can just see all that grass above you and smell the grass and hear the animals and sometimes see the animals, which keeps you awake in the middle of the night. Oh, if something happened and society as we knew it came crashing down, I'd be pretty well positioned. You get a couple of decent hunters and people that are decent at fishing, and other people are out foraging. You'd have to change your way of thinking, become a bit of a different animal, so to speak. So who knows what some people would be capable of if there was no law to keep them under check. Here we've got one of my favourite food resources. I don't know if many people have eaten pigeon before, but it's absolutely delicious. It was really caves like this that started getting me into prepping. I got to about 13 or 14 is when I really started to get this strong feeling that there'd be a time in the near future that we might have to really reactivate our innate connection. Our future generations have got no hope.
Australia became multicultural from 1788 onwards. You know, I guess the convicts and the soldiers, some of my ancestors on my mum's side were the first boat people. In saying that, I do fear as Australia becomes more and more multicultural that we're losing a lot of our culture. I'd really like to see more Australian history taught in schools. I'd love to see reenactments going on.
You're here with your mentor, Jake.
I'm a part of an international group of people who are really trying to shift the energy on the planet, and the energy work that we do is actually to help move the old energy off the planet and bring in the new energy, which we call the new reality. And I actually believe that we're living in two realities right now. We've got the old reality and the new reality, and some people call it the new earth. And I believe that the new earth is here right now, and that we are the ones that are creating that through our everyday actions, through our consciousness, through our oneness, through our community, and through doing things at the grassroots level, coming into our heart, acting as true and authentic people, and living in oneness as much as we can, really caring for each other, really caring for the planet, and living true lives with love in our hearts. There are people that have no idea of what's really going on the planet, and there are those that have become aware, some people call it awake, and they understand what's happening on the planet. I've heard many different hypotheses about what will happen. There's another planet waiting, so when the shift occurs, that there will be some on the planet that will be taken to this new earth. It's a very interesting concept, but there are many prophecies that have prophesied the solar flash, where we could have 90 days of darkness. The Hopi Indians talk about the divide there's one river that divides into two, and a lot of ancient cultures talk about this time where there is actually a shift. And although we're trying to come into oneness, those that aren't ready yet will continue to do their learning on the planet while the rest actually shift into the new reality. Well, there are definitely other beings out there, and that's scientifically proven. They've, interjected with nuclear testing, and it's not talked about. There are definitely beings out there, and yes, I'm curious. I become curious. I listen, I watch. I usually go off mainstream. I look at factual things. There are a lot of people out there that say a lot of different things are happening on the planet. And when I'm not actually sure, I go into my heart, I call it my truth filter, and I sit with that and I will find the answer. Well, I know that November this year is pretty tumultuous.
Right.
In that we have a lot of things that are teetering on the edge. We have, the global financial crisis. We have the possibility, the US elections that could have impacts right across the planet. But for me, I'm taking part in a worldwide ceremony. We're actually going to be closing 11 gateways that have been opened because we're living in an expired world, and we need to actually close those gateways because there's new energy that's waiting to come in.
You're here with your mentor, Jake. Jake, you've been running bush survival workshops for the past 20 years.
I'd just like to start off by acknowledging I'm on Guring-gai country today. And yeah, not just to go through the motions, but I've got an incredible respect for the Guring-gai and Dark Kingdom people and other people, non-Indigenous people, custodians as well who care for our country. So just need to start off with that. This is a really, really important subject. Short answer, not my strong point. Yeah, just being born on this land, I again just feel so fortunate. I love it with my heart and soul, whether I'm allowed to or not as a white fella. I'm not that white, I guess. All of us come from Indigenous roots if you go back far enough in our different places of the world that we all came from. So I always had a deep fascination with that, and to be able to go up into Carryong, up the back of Woi Woi Tip was my main area, but I'd come up through the back of Woi Woi Tip and up into Carryong, and first time I saw the glyphs I was about 8 or 9.
Oh.
And But yeah, just getting up into that area and mainly the caves, mate. The caves have always been my thing. I've been camping in caves. I had some mates that were a few years older than me, and we'd camp in a cave up the back of Dylan's farm near Wa Tip and the Wondabyne Trig, the really high point up there. And just finding the shells left by the Aboriginal people, the hand stencils in the cave, to me, that was just, still is the most amazing thing that I've ever seen in my life. It's a massive thing, and we need a tidal wave of opposition to it, and it's something that we're chipping away at in the background. It would have been great to have 1,000 people together today, but in the end, after some conversations, we respected the traditional custodians want to not do it there at the grandmother tree and not do it particularly on the day. It is unfortunate from the perspective that we would have got 1,000 people there today. But we'll see we'll see how this whole thing unfolds. But what we do need to do is come together like we've never come together before. And that's the only way to influence politics. We can do little meetings. We can create awareness. We're kind of past the point of just creating awareness. We need that enormous groundswell of support.
That's a great one, mate. Look, thank you so much for that. We're going to we've got a series of interviews. We're going to run them all, and we're not going to give up. We're just not going to give up. It's that simple. We'll just keep fighting and fighting and fighting, because what we're fighting for, what is right, what should happen. And like you said, mate, there is a lot of bush in this area. Some of it's precious like that is, and some is not that precious. There's plenty of other places to do this. And this is the worst place they could choose. And if they get this one up, it'll be a landslide, Jake. If this one gets up, it'll be happening everywhere. And once the precedent is set, who's going to be able to stop it? This is the point we have to stop them at. And mate,
yeah, I couldn't do it better myself, mate. You know, good on everyone for coming together. You know, while they're trying to build this template to be able to cause as much destruction as they can, and what they'll start doing is claiming, 500,000, a million hectares of bushland, and they'll just start selling it off to overseas countries. We already know that our government's fine to do that. They've been doing that for a really long time. So in this instance, we're going up against an Indigenous organisation.
Yeah.
Given that the majority of them are from other areas, but I'm going to take on an Indigenous organisation over this because I just thought, wow, already the biggest landowner on the Central Coast.
Yeah.
1,000 more land claims going in, goalposts being moved to allow them to have development. To have to take them on is a massive thing.
It is.
And as you pointed to, has come at a great personal and professional cost, not only for me, but others as well. It's cost us work, and we're constantly harassed on social media, and that's all part of it, I suppose. That's what certainly keeps it real and keeps you grounded and keeps you down to earth when you're out in the eye of the media and the public. It's been something else. This is the start of a battle of epic proportions. They've basically made it so no matter what we say, no matter what we do, this is their plan, that they're going to approve it. So they're not going to give the land back. I think what's happened is the government's got together after the bushfires with their scientific community and their mates in the State Land Council and the developers sort of in the background, always the ones that fund their election campaigns. And they said, how can we keep, I'll use that word again, exploiting the land and keep paying our bosses, basically the big developers and the internationals? How can we keep doing it? And they've come up with this. They've come up with this, that if you stand in the way, then you're standing in the way of Aboriginal self-determination. You're a racist, all the kind of things that our group's been called, which is interesting considering we've got so many Indigenous members, including traditional custodians. That'll be the plan, and before you know it, we won't be able to go into our state forests. We won't be able to go into different areas. They'll just sell a lot of it off. So, we really need to continue. There is the fight side of it. A lot of people, especially with the new age beliefs, like if you say you're going to fight something, you're creating a situation where you need to fight more and more and more, and that's not the right word to use. They've obviously never been involved in a serious environmental campaign before.
No,
a lot of it is a little bit of fight. But
I want to say I really appreciate everything you've done here for such a long period of time. You've been an inspiration to thousands of people, and I know it's taken a huge personal toll, but I also know you're so committed, you won't stop. So thank you so much for doing this, mate. Hopefully this will count for something, and if not, we're trying like we always do, mate.
And we're over the talk now. Again, it started in January 31st, 1931, not to mention Pemulwuy, Mosquito and the Indigenous people that fought to protect this land back in the day. You know, it's gone on for too long. Enough words have been spoken. Going for a run down there. A fella and his wife were down there with their dog. A lot of people walking their dogs in and out of here. A lot of people use this area for exercise as well, I think.
It's really, really, really scary stuff. And I'll just chuck in CEA, which is a fancy way of saying me and my friends out here pretty much, and these ladies here, and it varies. This is ground zero. If we don't stop them here, CEA, again, which is just a fancy way of saying me and my mates in our Facebook page. We've been around for a while though, probably since 2009 really on social media, and we get a lot of support from the community. If we can't stop them here, this is going to go. It's one of the biggest threats to the environment facing this country. It's certainly one of the biggest threats to the environment facing the Central Coast. And just a quick plug for our little Facebook page, it's Coast Environmental Alliance on Facebook. And we do not stop taking actions. I think we've had 3 meetings in something like 12 years of being around, or whatever it is. It's just all about our next action, our next press release. We've got a strategy going, if you don't mind me going for a little bit longer, is that okay? We've got a bit of a strategy going with Lisa, of course with Colleen and with everybody here, but in Gosford, we've got the Animal Justice Party candidate who tried to talk me into running for the Animal Justice Party, and I did this cool reverse move, and now she's running, which is really cool, and she's a strong candidate. We've got the Sustainable Australia Party on board as well, and unfortunately the only sort of environmental party that wouldn't join us is the Central Coast Greens. They wouldn't sign up to this alliance because their loyalty is to Labor, in my opinion, I should say, but past records will show that they always preference Labor. Here on the Central Coast, unconditionally, so it's understandable that they preference Labor because there used to be the lesser of two evils, but I think there's not really much difference nowadays between the two. So we've got this alliance forming. Everyone is preferencing each other. CEA is putting out our own how to vote cards. I don't know if that's been done before, but we just thought, stuff it, we're going to put out our own how to vote cards, which is going to include everybody who's in the alliance for the groups that aren't supporting pushing both Labor and Liberal to make a commitment to carry on sacred lands and ensure that the Land Council is treated fairly and equitably, and that the traditional custodians of Guring-gai and the Darking Noongar are given a seat at the table to discuss the best resolution for this, where everybody wins.
So it's not just 3 women and CEA. There's other local groups as well that are really concerned about this. Not just this little spot, but other spots. So, sorry, Land Council, let's find another way that you can be self-determining. Let's find another way that you can maybe use the land to make money. But it's not going to be as profitable as putting houses on it. That's the problem.
$500 million worth of other development that's been approved. They just got given Pete Island, an entire island in the Hawkesbury River, and I think the government gave them $10 million on top of it to help kick off the development. So, yeah, they're not lining up at the local homeless shelter, the upper management.
And once again, they did not fight for Pete's Island. The Guring-gai and the Darkinong, myself being one of them, fought for Pete's Island. They came in when we were on the verge of winning it. We've won it for you. They hadn't done anything. Now that's my white family and my black family, Pete's Island. I'm sorry, only to remind you, everyone's heard. I am a white person. I'm not a local elder.
Yeah, and on the plan, the 2041 plan, all the way through that is that they're partnering with Darkinjung Aboriginal Land Council. So, yeah, they're all in there together, aren't they? Yeah. And Newcastle Uni. And that's what we're finding when the Indigenous Party tried to go to the university to say, well, we've got research and whatnot to show that Darkinjung aren't a people and whatnot, but it seems to be serving the council and the university to keep that rhetoric, keep that narrative going. Yeah.
Please, you have listened to what is happening here, and listen to your heart. Listen to these beautiful ladies. Listen to what is happening. And exactly as they're saying, this is going to be a precedent. If they're going to do that, they're going to wipe out a lot of areas. And so we have to stand together firm and stop this in whatever way we can.
And what we have found is on the Central Coast and right through Australia, there are a lot of little groups around, and the little groups are doing their darndest to make a difference. But if we can come together and stand together, and what we're doing with Community Voice being a non-partisan group is just bringing the information forward. Guys, this is happening. This is what we're doing about it. This is what's happening. This is what we're doing about it. So I really encourage the smaller groups that are within here tonight too to get in contact with us, because together we can make a very big difference. I am stoked and feel honoured and privileged to have been a part of tonight with these three incredible dynamic women that we have with us. Let's give them a round of applause of gratitude once more. And again, if you'd like to leave your email address, if you haven't already, because Amanda's great at getting those, we'll let you know when our next event is on. And I think we're going to be talking about smart cities. The offshore wind turbines. But they're even worse. As I said, guys, there's so much going on.